What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com in the world of infinite hangout windows. And hopefully now I'm switching over to my Clip Studio Paint. Yeah, this is the Early Bird Artcast number 21. And today I have Teresa on with me again. What's up, Teresa?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Just trying to, if anybody has been watching my kind of like Facebook and stuff, I guess, they know that I had some computer issues this past weekend, and it kind of threatened messing up my progress with the Corncob Rob comic. But I was able to kind of go back and kind of fix all the stuff or redo stuff that I had already done and kind of move forward with the project still, luckily. So that's good. But my regular computer's kind of fried. So, I'm using my laptop now, my MacBook, and that's computer's not all that great either. So, you know, it's been kind of slow going trying to get this hangout working correctly today, and we'll see how it all works out. We're going to try our best to keep things moving as they've been going lately, with the progress and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sucks.
fun.
Yeah.
um,
Bad times.
yeah. So, but one thing I wanted to I wanted to start getting into topics a little bit more lately because I think I don't know, it's just more interesting, and sometimes I kind of meander when I'm doing these, and I don't want it to be too much like that. But so one of the things I was thinking of recently, I've been having some different conversations and stuff, and just all kinds of things have been going on. Everybody knows that this whole anybody who's involved with comics right now and any kind of online thing knows that there's this whole like comics gate thing and whatnot, and it's kind of frustrating. I'm not talking about comics gate today, by the way, so you don't have to turn off your thing right now. But
Yeah.
you know it's just, it kind of brings up a lot of interesting conversations and kind of dilemmas or whatever. But one thing that I kind of had talked about, had a conversation about recently with some people was kind of this idea of friends online, and I'm not really commenting at all on the conversation I was having. Um, it's more, it made me just think about the topic.
Right.
More, and I was just, one thing that's interesting is this whole kind of idea. I mean, if you're, I don't know, if you're not like super young, you can relate with this probably a little more. But, you know, um, growing up, it wasn't until, let's see, for me, it wasn't probably until I was in my 20s before the internet really started to become a thing that may even
Yeah.
actually in my 30s, till the
Really?
became like, well, not till it became a thing, but like until it became a thing where kind of spent a lot of time on it. As
Yeah.
soon as like the phone came out was when it really, I mean, I was on online a lot before then. But when the phones started becoming a thing, that's when it kind of got crazy, I guess. Where
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was a lot more activity, and so I don't know. It's just interesting though, because even before that, I was having a lot of conversations with people on like forums and stuff like that. I just had to, be able to have time to get to the computer to do it. But there's this whole thing of like I've become friends with a lot of people, and everybody has a different like definition of what they, maybe necessarily would consider friends and stuff. But I don't know. For me, I don't have a super strict definition. I just basically, if you know if I've had conversations with you, to a certain degree, I consider you a friend,
Hmm.
And so I feel like I have a lot of friends online, and I've like cultivated these friendships, and it's kind of cool because like, whereas in regular life, anybody you meet could kind of become a friend, but like um online you can kind of pinpoint people. Like I didn't do this purposefully. I just went online and checked out stuff I liked, but you kind of tend to pinpoint people who have interests that are like very close to your own interests.
Right.
Finding somebody who likes comics, makes comics, and specifically is into independent comics, and
Mm.
specifically not, necessarily superhero. I mean, I found tons of people. I'm friends with tons of people who fit that category, and I may have met one or two of those people in my actual real life. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
S-
Yeah. Like I know what you mean. But I would say I do have like an idea of. So you have different friends in your life, and they serve these different purposes, and not to be like heartless or anything, but friends have a purpose in your life. Some friends are there for support, some friends are there to go out and have fun. And as you say, the type of friends that you're talking about, I think, are the friends that share your same goals, which are also really important.
Mhm.
And it is true that it's easy to find those on the internet than in real life, just walking through the street and going, do you like independent comics? And that's not going to work, is it?
Yeah. So,
But yeah, for me, my experience, I got the internet when I was 15, so maybe it's a little bit different.
mhm,
And I think at the beginning there was a little bit of a stigma, at least in my generation, of making friends online. But I started doing it quite early, and actually, one of my friends that is nowadays like part of my group of friends, like the ones I made in school and stuff, I
mhm,
met him online because we like the same kind of music. So yeah, like you're not going to be friends immediately just because you share the same interest. There's a lot more things going on to make somebody your friend. But it's a starting point, and it's good.
yeah, that's actually a really good point. And that's the thing too. There's like benefits from kind of the friends you kind of make just by coming into contact with people in real life, and friends you make online. It's almost like an unnatural way to find friends online, but at the same time it can be very awesome too. But the friends, in real life, the one thing that's really beneficial about that is that these people, you it's kind of the fact that you don't you are very different, than those people, that actually makes that actually like makes the friendship awesome in some ways,
Hmm.
um and like, you get to have like different very different opinions and perspectives, and that's very beneficial in a friendship as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the danger, I think, of relying only on online friends is that you end up being very insular and very intolerant, maybe, like, because if I look at my friends from school, like the ones I made in primary school, our politics, our views on life, and many other things are not aligned at all. Like we don't see eye to eye on many, many important topics, but then our friendship is built on other things. And that helps you realize that people with different opinions are not evil necessarily.
Mhm.
And I'm afraid that people that don't have that experience of making friends with somebody who has very radically different opinions will tend to demonize people with different opinions and see them as the other. Whereas me, if somebody hasn't doesn't agree with me on something, I think, well, my friend so and so doesn't agree with me, and she's not a bad person, so I'm not going to start insulting this person, or things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point because, that's one thing that's interesting is, people will, it seems like online sometimes people will not want to associate with people because of their kind of certain views they've seen them like on one of their timelines, or maybe people who they talk to they don't like. I mean, this is kind of why I brought up Comicsgate a little bit, um, was because, you know, if you say you don't like Comicsgate, which a lot of people in my kind of circles happen to not. Um, but I also, I'm also friends with some people who are very much involved with that. But like, say you don't like Comicsgate or whatever, like, and then you see that somebody like is, involved in that, kind of crowd. Some people might base their friendship with that person. And again, I've had some conversations with people. I'm really not trying to comment on those conversations because that's a whole different thing. But just like it could be like anything. Like if say, all right, so one person I saw on YouTube talked about how they were they're subscribed or whatever to they follow Trump like on Twitter. And it's like if I were to go to that person's page and say I really hated Trump or whatever, which a lot of people do, whatever, um, you know, and see that they follow Trump on Twitter, you might be like, "Oh, well, I don't want to follow them because of that." And it's like, well, you don't know why they follow Trump. They might follow Trump because they want to see the ridiculous things he's saying and they don't like what he's saying.
Yeah.
Um, or it could be because they like him. I mean, the thing is like when you find a friend like not online, a lot of times you don't see all that stuff. You don't like
Yeah.
sit there and like check, okay, what are their affiliations? What are their like,
Yeah, exactly.
what's their
Exactly.
like political views? Like you just are friends with them because you happen to meet them and you have a nice conversation or something.
Yeah, it's this weird phenomenon, isn't it, where you would have classed someone that judges whether they're going to be friends with somebody or not. Let's say you judge whether you're going to be friends with somebody or not by the way they dress. And we do that a lot when we are in our early teens, right? You look at someone, and maybe if you're into hip hop, which I was as a teenager, I would look at a girl, and if she was wearing baggy pants and like hip hop t-shirt, I would be like, yes, that is my friend. And you immediately approach that person. So that's your initial filter. And then as you grow older, you realize, you know what, that's shallow. That's cutting a lot of people out of the equation that maybe are great people to be friends with. And the interesting thing that's happened with the internet is that we don't judge people by their looks anymore. We judge them by what they like and their opinions, which is equally as superficial as judging them by their clothes, because you don't know why they hold those opinions or where they're coming from at all. And I don't see more value in judging a person by their looks than judging a person by what's their favorite film or what political party they support. It's just a superficial thing. It doesn't speak about who they are as a person, of how good a friend they are.
Mm. It's interesting though. We do see like those markers and like when you first come across anybody, you have really no choice but to kind of judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
So there's always, even with just different media we like or whatever, like, you know, a lot of people fans of like punk rock music because they listen to Green Day and like their music, but then as they dig deeper and deeper, they realize that they like other stuff a lot, and the Green Day stuff is actually very superficial compared to the other stuff that they found, or
Mm.
whatever. Like this is just one example, but and it's kind of the same thing with coming to learn about people. The closer and closer you get to people, you start to realize certain things. And um I don't know that you necessarily stop. I mean, some people might decide to kind of stop being friends with somebody after they find out, oh, they support, Trump or whatever, for example. Or maybe that change makes them think, oh, well, they support Trump, but they're actually a really good person and they've been awesome in my life. Like, maybe I shouldn't judge everything so quickly and easily.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the same happens with your likes. The fact that, you say like, oh yeah, I've tried to find people that like independent comics. I am yet to find a person that has exactly the same likes as me.
Mm,
Uh, I think that would be pretty impossible.
mm,
And, trying to find your exact niche can be a really frustrating process because, like you and I, for example, I'm sure that we have a lot of things in common that we like, but I mean, how many things do we not have in common?
mhm.
Even like being independent comic creators and whatever, there's a lot of things that you probably like that I don't like, and vice versa. Does that mean that we should, uh, you know, what, like ignore each other? I don't know. It's a bit silly.
Yeah.
It's like you say, it's a filter, right? You look at the person and you make a quick decision. Is it worth approaching this person? Is it worth starting to being friendly with this person? But once you've done that, the decision should be only down to, do I actually enjoy spending time with this person? How, just, personal relationship stuff. Like, do I like this person? Do I enjoy their company?
Mhm.
And that should be the only thing you should look at,
Right.
really.
And there's this idea, that it's saying or whatever, and I'm kind of blanking on, but this whole thing of like you should pick your friends, wisely and stuff. And there's definitely some wisdom in that, for sure. But I wonder, like, first of all, like, kind of how far does that go? But also, I don't know. I'm curious, like, because different people have like different views of what they would consider a friend. And I think some people are more strict with that, some people are less strict with it. Like, I'm just curious, like, maybe for you, like, what do you consider a friend? And do you, like, consider your online friends as actual friends, or are they just kind of acquaintances? Or how you feel
Mm,
about that?
I'm very careful. Mm, like, I think there's people that are more open and would consider more people their friend than me. But I don't know. I wouldn't say like friend is a very general word. Like, I consider a lot of people my friends, but then you have levels, right? This is my close friend. This is my intimate friend. This is my buddy. This is my. So it depends on the level of intimacy and connection you have with the person. That's for me what makes it. So if uh, just some people, you talk to them and you completely understand where they're coming from. You connect in conversation and stuff, and that's what they makes them my friend. That
Hmm.
we understand each other,
Hmm.
because that's what you look for in a friend, right? Someone that you connect with, that when you're with them, you don't feel lonely, you feel understood, and you feel like you understand them and you know where they're coming from. That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects. I think a level of respect is kind of one of the first steps, and when you start to become a friend with somebody. And then there's one thing that becomes huge, and I think, the deeper this is, maybe the closer the friend it is a level of trust.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of hard to gauge some of that online. It's a little bit different, because I don't know, for some reason it shouldn't be though. Like, because I feel like I've become even closer friends with some people online than maybe some of my friends in real life. and I've it's because I've had more conversations with them, like, privately, publicly, whatever, and then that's
Yeah.
another thing, like, if you do have a lot of conversations publicly, you know, is it artificial, because, there's a lot of different other pressures that come in that situation, so it's kind of it's weighted, but, I mean, for me, I personally do definitely value my online friendships, and I think that there are people out there who don't really delve into online stuff. It's still very alien to them. Yeah, I mean, you would think like typically like older people, oh, they're not up with technology and they don't, they're not into the online thing. But it's not just old people. They're older. I shouldn't say old, but older people. Yeah, it really just depends on your if you like that kind of format because I've seen plenty of young people too who just like, no, I don't even go online or anything. Um, so, and some people would kind of scoff at, having all kinds of friendships and interactions with people online and think it's silly, but I think there's something of value that there as well as real life.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and I would say for me, the thing is, there's two opposites. Like there's the idea that you're saying of people like, no, I don't want to make friends online. I don't need it. It's weird, etc. Which I think is an attitude that is not really the most normal attitude nowadays. I think everyone's open to making friends online, and if not to making friends online, to reconnecting with friends online. Even my parents have found their old school friends through Facebook and things like that. So I think everyone's pretty much open to making or reconnecting with people online, making friends and reconnecting with friends. Now the other attitude, which is what you don't want to be falling into, is the kind of what I call the Pokemon attitude,
Hmm.
where you have to catch them all. You have to have as many friends as you can,
Uh,
because as you mentioned, friendship is about working on those relationships. And the reason you even said it, right? The reason why you feel close to your online friends is because you have a lot of conversations with them and you spend some quality time with them having those conversations or sharing your interests. And it's that time that is what makes a good friendship, the time you invest in that person.
mm,
Because unless you have had an amazing experience together, if you don't keep up the relationship, it just fades away and disappears. So it's great to make friends online, but just be wary that you have to also work on those relationships, not just make a million friends, and that's how they
yeah,
become
man.
real to me.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting point. That like that's a weird thing with online friends is we have kind of this weird new culture of like collecting friends, collecting likes, collecting social, or
Yeah,
kind of these almost synthetic social cues or whatever. And um and so yeah, you can really kind of get into a state of confusion with that. And I think it'd be interesting to kind of dive deeper someday into kind of the psychology of like what our new culture with this whole online thing is, because I feel like there probably already is, but there's definitely going to be more people who kind of have some really messed up associations with the internet, and probably like need to go see a therapist because of online addiction, just relate with people online and stuff. Like it's become a very different world in that in that way.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Imagine some abuses, happening for
Yeah,
sure.
so I don't think there's any difference between an online friend and a real friend. If you, for me, an online friend is a real friend if I've spent enough time with them and I know them and, I trust them. The end.
Mm,
And that's the same criteria for real life friends.
mhm,
Can I trust this person? Does this person, when I listen to the problems, can I connect to what they're saying, or do I think I don't get it? I think that kind of stuff is what's important. From there, you go to, you know, doing things for them, and they do things for you, and little by little, you realize they're there for you, and that's so just building it. Whatever mean you use is irrelevant.
yeah.
Internet, physical contact, I don't know, whatever. Hugging people or send them in a text is the same. If all depends on like your intention.
Mhm.
And that's another thing, right? Intention. A lot of people online want to make friends because they want influence or they're networking or something. So you're not sure if you can trust them.
Actively on social media trying more subscribers, more followers, more that, because I'm trying to promote something start out that way. But then, as you and I and many others in like the hundreds and seen, if we had hangouts that kind of go on, some that were almost meant to be like business connections start to become, a little more, um, art buddies, type of thing. And, I've even gotten even deeper sometimes, like there's some people that I send private videos back and forth to, not in a weird way, but just in literally a friendship way, and we talk more about, art and like like I have friends who I talk about writing a lot, and stuff like that because I'm trying to learn how to write better. And we also start to share stuff about our actual lives and say, oh, how you doing? How's this thing that you were dealing with whatever, and, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's weird how it kinda starts, but I guess that's kinda similar to just
real
any
life.
almost business relationship. If you go to work and you're in a business, you might be like a salesperson and you start, working with that person, and then, maybe there's like some kind of trip or whatever you go on and you start to actually develop a real friendship too, so I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, like there's no equation. It's not like online good, real life bad, or vice versa. It's just some people you have a connection with and you see eye to eye, and they will become your friends. And some people are there to take advantage of friendship, which nowadays has a very fashionable word to refer to, which is networking, which I think is a very poisonous idea to put in people's mind. Because a lot of people say like, you need to network online. It's like, well, shouldn't you be out there trying to meet people in general? And
Mhm.
if a job opportunity comes from those people, then that's excellent. Other than that, you shouldn't be, here's my business card. I hate that type of attitude. Maybe that's just me being a bad businesswoman, but that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, yeah. I think even business relate.
That you shouldn't be, here's my business card. I
Oh,
hate that.
whoops. Got some feedback there. But
Yeah.
yeah, even with the business stuff, say you're specifically focusing on trying to get clients and whatnot. Even that, it doesn't work if you start on the basis of what can I get from you? Here's my business card, like you were saying. Even that
Yeah.
needs to start on some kind of level of friendship and trust. You have to kind of, they talk about building rapport, and it sounds kind of crass because it's like, oh, you're just building rapport so you can, get money from them. But it usually, we're all human, and that humanity finds its way, like it creeps its way in a funny way, even into business situations. So, I don't know. It's just an interesting dynamic, and I think it's good to. I don't know if I have necessarily a huge takeaway, but like I think it's good to kind of keep tabs on what friendship really is, and try not to get hyper focused on the weird like online aspects, and also the fact that you can see all kinds of little details about people's lives, where you wouldn't necessarily in a real life situation be able to see that. We have to have a lot of, I think, patience with people, and not judge them just because we don't happen to like something that we see
Yeah,
them do or talk about online, or post.
absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, um, it's the same as in real life. You wouldn't go up to a person in the middle of a conversation somewhere and overhear what they're saying and then comment on what they're saying, like you're an idiot. But that happens on Twitter and that happens on any social media that is open to the public, and that's just a weird dynamic. I don't think we are programmed to act like that.
Yeah.
We should, like, I don't partake in any of that drama because it's just artificial drama that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like some of that stuff is just like, because it's so weird, because like there's kind of this time difference, and people, somebody might post some things or comment on some things when they happen to be like on their way to bed, and they're like tired, they're in a bad mood,
Yeah.
something might say like right before they go to bed, and then you wake up in the morning and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have waited till I was a little more awake and not frustrated, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Whereas in
and I
a social
think, yeah.
situation, that stuff might not quite happen as much. I don't know.
I think it's a question of protocol, isn't it? Because the internet is so new, we're all acting like crazy teenagers that don't know how to behave in public because there are no rules at the minute. But I think little by little we're starting to establish some rules into internet, like an internet protocol. For
Mm,
instance, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. People are starting to repeat that message, as
mm,
opposed to the original. I think ethics of it, which was like, if I don't like it, I'm going to report it or I'm going to do something about it.
mm.
I think, the mentality is changing little by little, and we're starting to find that, there's a everyone's online nowadays, people with very different opinions about things, and we have to learn to accept that and don't try to make the internet our little turf.
Mhm. I lost your last thing there.
Yeah, I lost you a
No.
little bit as well.
Okay, you're back now. Yeah, I lost kind of the last line there.
Well, no, just saying that we shouldn't try to make the internet our little turf where nobody says anything we don't like, and just learn to be a little bit more tolerant.
Right. Um, but that you would. So, just I think you're right though. We're starting to realize.
I think you're breaking off every time you do the crazy window to infinity thing. You cut off a little bit.
uh, okay, well, it's time to kind of end it anyways. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm turning that part off. But hopefully you guys can hear me. Teresa, if you still if you still can hear me, let people know where they can find you and be friendly with you online.
Yeah. Okay, so you can find me. The best way is Instagram. I think you have a link down there.
Hmm.
Is Teresa Del Pilar, just Teresa. Uh, what you call it? Oh my God, I've gone blank. The uh, you know
On Instagram?
underscore.
Oh,
Jesus
oh,
Christ.
gotcha.
Teresa underscore DEL underscore pillar, as in a pillar in a building.
Hmm.
Teresa Del Pilar. That's my name.
Cool. And so, yeah, I do have the link below. You could definitely go check that out. Also, Teresa made a cool video of her teaching some inking stuff in Clip Studio Paint. So I also linked the her YouTube down there too. So if you want to check that out, that would
Cool.
be rad.
Thank you.
Hmm. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out, talking about this topic. I thought it was a fun topic, and thank you to everybody in the chat. I did see the chats. I don't have the window open now because my computer wants to blow up every time I do anything. So, but thanks everybody. I saw halfway and play too. And you know where you can comics down, but we will talk to you next time. All right. Later.
See you later.